Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to talk about something kind of counterintuitive, an innovation philosophy that actually thrives when you have less to work with. And honestly, it might just be the future of how we build, well, everything.
So let's just jump right in with a question that kind of flips the whole Silicon Valley model on its head. I mean, we're all taught to think that big breakthroughs need huge funding, these perfect, shiny labs. But what if that's all wrong? What if the real secret is the exact opposite?
Yeah, that right there, that sets up a huge showdown. In one corner, you've got the super-planned, mega-budget world of the tech giants, and in the other, a philosophy that's all about clever, scrappy problem-solving. It's a real clash of titans, two totally different ways of looking at how we move forward.
Okay, so before we can really get into the challenger, we first have to talk about the champ. Let's break down the model that everyone knows. Silicon Valley's obsession with perfection, with creating that flawless product from day one.
And this really gets to the heart of the issue. This hunt for perfect just ends up creating products that are way too complex, they show up late to the party, and they cost a fortune. What's really wild to me is that even the whole minimum viable product, or MVP idea, which was supposed to be all about being lean and fast, well, it's not so minimum anymore, is it? It's become this crisis of over-engineering, and it's making these huge companies totally vulnerable to the smaller, quicker guys.
And look, we've seen this play out over and over. Juicero is the poster child, right? An absolute marvel of engineering that solved a problem that nobody actually had. And it did it for a price nobody was willing to pay. It's the perfect, almost painful example of what happens when you get so caught up in the tech that you forget about the human who's supposed to use it.
But this isn't just a bad design choice here and there. It's a much bigger structural issue. And things are starting to shift in a way that really favors a whole new approach. Just look at AI, for example. In some places, the actual cost of the computing power you need just to mess around and experiment is dropping like a rock. We're talking nearly 60% cheaper. And when the cost to just try something goes down that much, well, it changes everything. It means you can take more shots, learn way faster, and create a culture of innovation that isn't terrified of failure.
So you've got this environment of sky-high costs and slow, clunky development. It's basically begging to be disrupted. And that brings us right to our challenger, a philosophy called Jugaad.
So what exactly is Jugaad? It's way more than just a life hack you'd see online. Think of it as a whole mindset. It's about valuing a good enough solution that solves a real urgent problem right now, instead of waiting for a perfect solution that might never even show up. It's pure ingenuity born from having no other choice. Okay, so what does this actually look like in the real world? Because this is where the theory stops and things get really, really cool. Let's dive into some absolutely incredible examples of Jugaad in action. All right, first up, a refrigerator that needs zero electricity. Seriously, it's a product that solves a massive problem for millions of people who don't have reliable access to a power grid.
It's called the MIDI-Cool, and the genius of it is just how simple it is. It's made entirely of clay, and it uses the natural cooling effect of water evaporating to keep fruits and vegetables fresh for days. It's not fancy, but it does the one job it needs to do perfectly: stop food from spoiling. It's an amazing design that focuses on the core function, making it available to literally anyone.
And this way of thinking isn't just for things around the house. Oh no, it goes all the way to outer space, proving you can achieve the impossible on what is, frankly, a ridiculously tiny budget.
Okay, get ready for this, because this is the stat that just blew my mind. India's Mars mission, Mangalyaan, made it all the way to Mars for $74 million. Now, that sounds like a lot until you realize it costs more money to make the Hollywood movie The Martian than it did actually send a probe to Mars. How they do it? They use this brilliant slingshot technique with Earth's gravity instead of burning through cash on super expensive rocket boosters. Just incredible.
And it gets even more impactful when you look at healthcare. This mindset is literally saving lives. I mean, we're talking about a fully functional prosthetic leg for only $16, an ECG device that fits in a matchbox to detect heart problems early, and even infant incubators, these life-saving machines built from little more than wooden frames and 100-watt light bulbs. These aren't just cheap alternatives. They are genuine breakthroughs that make healthcare accessible to millions.
So, okay, these examples are just amazing, right? But why is this approach so powerful? Why is it so good at winning over huge markets? It's not just about being cheap. There's a deeper strategic advantage here, so let's break that down.
It really boils down to two completely different ways of seeing the world. On one hand, you have the clean lab approach, designing for perfect conditions, perfect power, perfect everything. On the other hand, you have the messy streets approach. This is about designing for reality, the messy, unpredictable world where the power goes out, things break, and you have to make do with what you've got. One is chasing an idea of perfection, the other is just trying to solve a real problem for real people.
And here's a perfect example of what you could call contextual superiority. Just look at the mobile phone market in Africa. You've probably never heard of a company called Transsion, but they own a staggering 40% of the market. They completely blew past giants like Samsung and Apple. How did they do it? Simple. They built phones with batteries that last for days because electricity is unreliable, and with antennas that can pick up a signal in the middle of nowhere. They solved the problems people actually had, problems the big premium brands just totally overlooked.
And that really sums up the new reality, doesn't it? By the time one team is still stuck in the lab, spending years and millions trying to get their perfect product just right, the other team is already out in the wild. They've launched, they've gotten feedback from real people, and they've already improved their design 2 or 3 times. It's not about money anymore. Speed and adaptability. That's the real currency of innovation today.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's really important to see that this isn't just a story about, emerging markets. These ideas, these principles, they're becoming critical for everyone, for any company anywhere that wants to innovate and stay ahead of the curve.
In fact, some companies are now using this really handy acronym to guide their thinking, Frugal. It's a great little checklist. Is the product functional, robust, user-friendly? Can it grow? Is it affordable? And is it designed for the local environment? It's a way to make sure you're not just being clever for the sake of it, but that you're actually building something that will have a real impact.
So how can you or your company start thinking this way? Well, it all starts with the mental shift. You have to start seeing limitations not as problems, but as puzzles that force you to be more creative. It's about focusing on simplicity, really listening to what your users need, and letting your teams try things out quickly and cheaply. This isn't about throwing out your big strategy, not at all. It's about blending that big vision with on-the-ground, scrappy, adaptable execution.
And that's really the idea I want to leave you with. In a world that's changing faster than ever, the race isn't always to the most funded. It's to the most adaptable. So the question is, where will the next big thing come from? Maybe, just maybe, it won't be from a billion-dollar R&D lab, but from a garage. From someone with a few spare parts, a really clear understanding of a problem, and one brilliantly resourceful idea.